Good morning, you guys. Welcome back to Roots and Refuge Farm. It's really chilly this morning. The sun just came over the top of the trees. Probably warm up somewhat here pretty quick. We haven't had frost yet, but we've had a few mornings that were fairly close. We don't have anything saying it's going to freeze in our 10-day forecast. So we have a little bit of gardening left. At this point, the garden's full of volunteers. Like these sunflowers. I've got lots of holy basil popping up everywhere. It's been nice. I've been able to still make basil tea. That's a fennel growing that I didn't plant there. Interesting. This end of the garden always warms up the last because the stand of pine trees blocks the sun early in the morning, but makes for nice light for early morning videos. So down here at the end of the driveway, I've been wanting to show you guys this thing right here that I've driven past, walked past so many times over the last couple weeks, and every time I'm like, I just need to make the video. So this is my compost bin or pile, pumpkin patch. We don't really have a bin, we have a pile. And we have multiple compost piles where we just do static compost, and it's a mixture of, garden waste, animal bedding, cleaning out the barn, different things like that, cleaning out chicken coops, brooders. It just all gets dumped on a pile and we turn it over. And this one hasn't been turned over because this spring so much stuff started growing out of it. I was like, we're just gonna leave it. Lots of food grew here, but the most notable thing obviously is the pumpkins. And interestingly, we'd already harvested quite a few pumpkins out of this. I was leaving the others to cure. This last few weeks, a herd of deer has been, I guess, eating the greens off of this pumpkin patch, which I didn't do anything. We pulled in the other day and they ran out of the orchard. I went and looked. I didn't see any damage to the trees in there. And they typically leave the garden alone. I think I've had 1 or 2 times that I've found a little bit of damage from deer. But yeah, they just completely defoliated the entire pumpkin patch in the matter of just a couple of days, exposing all the pumpkins. So now we're going to have to come and gather these up. Some of them really aren't quite cured yet, but I think some of those I could probably just cook and can. But yeah, check this out. All this free food that grew, it just got exposed by the deer. The remaining flock of geese. I'm pretty sure they're all females. They all sat on nests this spring and not a single gosling hatched, which I don't mind. I don't really want them to multiply. But I keep making a mess of the dock. Another little view of our accidental pumpkin patch. How cool is this? How cool is it to just get this much food without even doing any work? So I will ask that you bear with me in this video being a little clunky and maybe a little uncomfortable. First off, hi. It's been a minute. It's been long enough that I have thought of shooting the video of the compost pile pumpkins far more times than it usually takes for me to go grab the camera. I spent the last week being like, maybe Jeremiah and I will sit down and do a talk, but Jeremiah actually, this summer, this is something we haven't really talked about, but he actually begun a new business venture where he's using our heavy equipment, and he's doing like groundwork and clearing and things like that using our equipment. And it's been an adjustment. It's been very good. I think it's great. I think it was a great direction. And I'm really glad that he had this idea and decided to pursue it, because it's definitely given me a lot of space, which is really awesome. With us deciding to homeschool our kids again, that becomes my priority, and it takes a lot of time. which of course prior to this, me being on social media has been largely our primary income over the last handful of years, and that is able to shift a little bit now. So that brings me to, like, you may be like, oh my god, are you quitting? I'm not quitting. I have been kind of letting things take a different shape and trying to figure out exactly what that looks like. The biggest thing, I guess, that I haven't talked about, and that I don't know that I really want to talk about a whole lot, is I shared on Substack. I've been writing more. Writing's a little easier when I'm like being a homeschool mom daily, because there are, you know, significant parts of the day that I'm with my kids and they're working on things, and I can work alongside them, but I can't exactly shoot a video or even edit a video. You know, I have to be able to stop a lot. And so I've been writing, and it's been awesome. It's always been easier for me to process in the written word than it is in speaking. But I shared on my Substack a week or so, I don't even know how long it's been, that we recently experienced an early miscarriage. And I kind of talked about the journey that we've been on in the last year that we haven't shared publicly. When I started on social media, it's been 10 years ago now, which is wild. I had no concept of like influencers or social media as a job. It kind of started for me because I was sharing pictures of our new farm that I was just so enamored by, and all of a sudden, like, people I didn't know were commenting on my pictures of chickens, and I was like, this is weird. And I mean, I didn't know how to do anything regarding social media. It was all pretty new at that point. This role of being in the public eye was something that I sort of just like stumbled into, and I don't really think that it was accident. You know, I'm a person of faith, and I truly believe that our lives are orchestrated and ordered, and that even things, you know, I really do actually think that all things work for our good, ultimately. It doesn't always feel like that in a sample slice, but I do actually believe that to be true. And I really truly felt led to be, I guess, in a glass house is the language that I've always used, living in a glass house. In the years that you guys have watched us live our life, I mean, it's been quite a journey, and I we've honestly, I think, just made the best decisions that we could in the seasons we were in. And there's been so much personal growth and development in our family. And I mean, truly, in 10 years, our kids have grown up. You know, some of them have launched, and we don't have little babies anymore. And it's just been such a changing of seasons over the years. You know, we all went through COVID together, and that was a huge boom into the homesteading world. And you've seen us try, you've seen us succeed, you've seen us fail. But this last year, I guess, really with the journey we've been on, I kind of pulled the curtains on the glass house a little bit. And in part, I mean, this was just us trying to figure out what direction we're going in, what we're doing. And sometimes the noise of it all gets a little bit overwhelming. I've thoroughly considered quitting. But when I really take away the obligation to create, and I take away the obligation to show up, and I kind of let the jets cool and settle into the daily things that are important to me, what I have found is that I love to create. I love to share. I love to live in a glass house. I value you. I value the input. It's worth the noise to have the input in my life of the people who've been on this journey with us. And as we kind of we've shared a lot of things over the last year. We've shared a lot of the process. And when that kind of all started last summer when we decided, hold on, let's slow down, let's downsize. And I've really just been asking the question, and I mean, it came to me kind of in a quiet time one morning in a prayer, how do you be a human? What was the intention for humanity to be like, to live like? What is thriving? That's been a hard question to ask, because the truth is that I didn't really fully know. I thought I knew, but I really didn't. So I guess the house hasn't been so glass this year. There have been retreats to kind of the private places, and I think that's okay. But kind of coming to the end of this really kind of heartbreaking season, one of the things that I realized is that I really just wanted to reclaim the glass house. And with the changes that we've been making, I really feel like that's something that I've regained. I want to show up authentically. I want to share like the real truth of living, of being a human, of figuring it out, of trial and error, of success and failure, and of gain and loss. And that is humanity. That is living. I think that a lot of people turn a camera on to share their life, and it starts in a place of, I just want to share my life. But it is really hard to just hear constant criticism. It is really hard to know as soon as you say anything what the negative reactions are going to be. You become, I guess, conditioned with the negative reactions of people. And I think that it really took retreating for me to really fully value how worth it is to stay in the glass house, like even when people are throwing stones, like to stay in a transparent place, even if people see like the real true you and criticize it or make negative assumptions about it or whatever. Here recently, I mean, I've been very sad, but I have felt more connected to my farm and to my purpose in so many of the things that I do than I think I've felt in a really long time. And I don't know that I would have had the language to explain that a year ago. I don't think that I could have aptly said, oh, here's the process we're in the middle of. I could have shared more details than I did, but I didn't have a conclusion, and I didn't really have a direction as to where it was going. There's the sun. I know this may even feel vague now. Maybe not. Maybe it's more clear than I think. I wanted to just open the curtains and say, you know, yeah, I considered quitting. I have weighed and looked at everything in my life over the last year. I mean, just every bit of it. And ask the question of like, why am I doing this? Like, what am I doing here? And I've really settled on the great value in my marriage and my children, the great value in caring for myself, truly, like really being responsible for my state of well-being and how I'm showing up in all places, and really assessed where our farm is and what we want to do with it. I mean, we've just gone down the list of, you know, really tending what we can reach and looking at what is actually in our hands and what we're actually doing with it. And really, I think it just took us a little while to really begin looking at what do we do with how we're engaging with the people, you know, outside this little bubble that are looking in. And so this video, more than anything, I just want to begin again. You know, I just want to turn the camera on in a simple way. And I felt the need to post that article kind of talking about this journey and this loss, because I really just wanted to show you the pumpkins. Like, I really just wanted to show you the compost pumpkins. But I knew that it would feel heavy. I knew that many of you would be able to feel the fact that I am very excited about these pumpkins, but I am also sad. And the thing is that whenever you portray transparency, but there are actually guarded places, it sometimes reads as inauthentic. Like, I think that people just have a tendency to assume the worst, you know, rather than making space for other people being complex and there being like depth going on that we can't understand. But it's been hard really kind of sharing honest things about the pumpkins, honest things about what is right in front of me, when there are kind of some deeper layers going on and some deeper levels of processing, I guess. And I think that living in such unprecedented times, I mean, I've pondered so much as I have been going through my own undoing, kind of the undoing of the world at large, and how just it has changed so drastically just in my adulthood in the last 20-ish years of kind of being aware. And I find that real human connection, it just requires space for the complexity of our being and our feeling about things and people feeling differently about things. And I don't know, again, I'm writing a lot because it's easier to sort out tangled thoughts that way. But what I'm really trying to get to here is that I value you. I appreciate you being on the journey with me. I want to share my pumpkins. I want to share my garden. And I want to also, in appropriate times, share my heartache and my real and honest expression of just being a human and figuring out how to do that well. Because I do think that when we are honest with each other, this is something that has really come to me. It's kind of like leaving the light on for another person. Whenever we share our honest human experience, when we share our passions and our heartbreaks, it leaves the light on for other people, because it can just feel so lonely navigating a confusing world, and navigating heartbreaking times, and navigating dreams and desires, and the loss of those things. Like, all of it can be so difficult, but we're all doing it. Like, every single person, if they are being bold enough to actually live their life and actually want for things and to want to be present, we're all experiencing these very human things. And so by sharing them, I just think there's a lot of value in it, even when it's hard to do. So that's what I'm doing. I don't usually ask for things like this, but I really appreciate your encouragement right now. Honestly, it has been over the last month or so where I just feel like I have felt pretty lost. And I don't know, so many of you have just felt moved to reach out to me and sent me messages telling me what my presence on this space has meant to you, and that has meant very much to me. So thank you. I didn't want to make a video crying. That was kind of I don't want to do that. Why? I don't know. Maybe it leaves the light on. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today and all the days you do. I bless you. Until next time.